Hello everybody, my name is Luke Mar and this is Hot Mode, and today on Hot Mode we are going to be getting into the BAFTAs red carpet. So the BAFTAs, if you guys do not know, are the British Academy of Film and Television Awards. But before we get any further into the video, if you guys are looking for a channel that talks about fashion in the most fun, sassy, bitchy, analytical way, this is it. So you can go down below, hit the subscribe button, and turn on my post notifications. I mean, like, what you have to lose, you're already here. And if you guys want to see more from me, you can follow me on any of my social medias linked in the description box down below, and you can check out the new Fashion Victims podcast episodes as well. It's a podcast that I do with my friend Darnell Jamal, and we talk about all the fashion news and gossip you need to know weekly. It's pretty lit in there. We have a good time. So first up is Asa Butterfield, and now I don't know who he's actually wearing, but I do love this. Like, I actually think it's a nice little suit. It fits him perfectly. There's not a spot of really white, except for a few dashes, which I think is really, really smart. If you're gonna go for black and white and doing a suit, make it different. First things first, it's a double-breasted, very, very tight little suit jacket, which I love to see. I like the little piping of the white to sort of indicate that there's some sort of pocket square there. You only have a little bit of a dash of white at the collar, and it's covered up by a black sort of different bow tie. It's sort of flowy and more like satiny looking than the normal quite straight and like rigid bow ties. Underneath, he must be wearing some sort of coat, like some sort of high waist coat, because you can't even really see the buttons all the way down. It's just covered in the black, which I actually think is a really nice detail and something that I don't think a lot of people do. So it's actually really nice to see. You don't have to exactly show the buttons in the white of your black and white shirt. You can put quite high waistcoat underneath your jacket and sort of create a whole different style that I've never seen before. I also love the cuffs of the shirt. They're just like popping out there. It's a little bit white satiny. Like, it's cute. It's really, really cute. I'm not obsessed with the shoes, but I like the fit of the pants. And so like everything else is really, really great. So I don't need to like complain about the shoes too much because everything else really hits it. Next up is Charlize Theron wearing Dior Haute Couture, and obviously you can tell it is Dior Haute Couture because that black belt. If you guys don't know anything about Dior Haute Couture, you can watch my most recent video. It's all about the Haute Couture collections. So if you're looking to learn about Haute Couture, go right ahead. Maria Grazia did this purple pleated people eater, which honestly I already talked about in the Haute Couture collection. It's very different than this gown, but she did do a purple pleated gown or dress in her most recent Haute Couture collection, so maybe this is a reference back to that. Doesn't mean it's a good reference, but it's a reference. I feel like this dress doesn't really have much of a shape to it. Maybe that's because it's pleated. You know when you put Legos together and they have the little ridges that help you put them together? That's what this bodice is giving me right now. There's just nothing really enticing about it. That like weird U plunging neckline is strange. I think when you curve a plunging neckline, instantly takes the sexiness out of it. And I'm not saying that all plunging necklines have to be sexy, but it's kind of the point of them. I also feel like the black belt is the least necessary thing I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, the dress already is loose and baggy. You don't need to put a belt over it because you're not even cinching the waist. What is the point? Like, somebody tell me the point of the belt. There is no point of the belt. It's just a weird add-on. I mean, I like the pleats. I've been really trying not to say stylists should be fired because, like, I don't want to fuck with anybody's livelihood. And I mean, I'm sure Charlize Theron is not watching this video, but like, are you okay? Charlize, blink twice if you need help. Next up is Daisy Ridley and Oscar de la Renta. Do I love the bust with like the cage? No, I think that's a little bit Dior to me, and I want better for Laura and Fernando. But I do think the pleating of the skirt is nice. I do think the color is really, really good on her. And this like one dramatic shoulder pleat, yes. Absolutely yes. Now, would I prefer that it was on both sides? Absolutely. But I'm only getting one side, and I'll take it because it's really hot. It's really beautiful. It's really different. I like that it's transparent so you can actually see the arm through it. Like, I like this dark green having a little bit of a lighter green moment. Like, I think it's a nice little style. It's not super avant-garde, over the top, but I think that that one sleeve actually really creates a bit of drama that you might not have, you know, had if it was just the sort of caged bodice and pleated skirt. So I actually I really like this. I think it's a really, solid, simple, yet effective moment. Do I wish it was on both sides? Absolutely. But you know what? I will take it here. Next up is David Furnish in Dior Men. Love it. I really love it. I really truly love it. Now the thing is, when you see these like Dior suits, which have the very interesting little kind of scarf that comes out of the jacket, drops around and creates its own little train of sorts or tail, you think, okay, like on the runway, it's really cool, like great, 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 like love that. Does it really work, for a man every day wearing that kind of, suit jacket? Because listen, on the runway, it's a runway piece. Like it's on a model who is like 6'5" and like 120 pounds and like, anatomically perfect. But on the everyday human being, you wonder, would that look good? And I think that Kim Jones, putting this on David Furnish actually proves that looks pretty damn good. I like that tail. I think it actually adds a little bit of drama without being like super feminine, which I think a lot of like straight men wouldn't want to be considered super feminine, which is a bad thing. But like, I'm just trying to, think of the male consumer. They wouldn't want, it to make them super duper drama over the top. Like they want to be very chill, very like, just sort of there. But this adds a little bit of a dimension of fashionability without you seeming like you're trying super duper hard, which seems to be a thing men don't like to do. And that's why they use 3-in-1 shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. Just kidding, straight men, just kidding. Although some of you do that, so fix that, please. Next up is Ella Balinska wearing Giambattista Valli. And no, listen, the Giambattista Valli train has left the station, and I don't mean, a Giambattista Valli train. I mean like the choo-choo, bitch, get the fuck out of the station, please. It's getting so tired. Like the man can only do ruffles, trains, and florals, and that's it. Like anything else, Giambattista, no, that's it. Oh, sometimes he does tulle too. Yeah, I'm just not obsessed. I'm really not. I think the white isn't super great on her, and I don't think the floral pattern is super duper noticeable. Like I'm looking at it and I can't really tell that it's a floral. I just assume because it's Giambattista Valli and, haute couture is like flowers. But you never really be able to tell. It looks like, sort of pinky and red, like mush on the dress. I don't think the ruffles on the sleeves are great. I don't think pulling the ruffles and sort of ruching at like the waist is nice either. Like there's just not too much about this dress that is really that good. Next up is Emilia Clarke wearing Schiaparelli haute couture. Now this is a fresh off the runway look. Literally, it's like from last week, 2 weeks ago. So it's actually kind of crazy. Again, I think you should go watch my haute couture review if you want to understand the background of this dress, which is a reference back to Elsa Schiaparelli's skeleton dress. I do think it actually looks quite nice on Emilia. I think, the crystals sort of being put to create the ribs and the pelvis and the legs, it works on her. I think it's a little bit dashing. I think it's a little bit of, piquing an interest for the people that maybe don't know the references. So it is really nice. I don't know if I love the legs. I mean, I get the legs. I get the point of it, but I also don't know if I love it. I think maybe had they taken out the legs and just really focused on the ribs, like making some sort of very detailed rib cage. And also, I feel like the crystals are a bit big. You know what I mean? Like a rib is not super duper big. It's quite thin from my understanding of the anatomy of a human, although, I didn't do great at biology. So I feel like have they actually like sort of created a very highly detailed version of, the rib and the pelvis through these crystals might actually be much more intriguing and interesting to the everyday person. And it might be an even more referential and more, exquisite modern telling of the skeleton dress. But in reality, the fit is good. I wish they got rid of the legs and, interesting to see it on the red carpet. Next up is Florence Pugh wearing Dries Van Noten. And now for those of you that do not know, it's from one of the most recent Dries Van Noten collections, I assume spring, summer 2020, which was an actual collaboration with Christian Lacroix, the famed haute couturier who closed his business. Now, I have to say, on the runway, but also I am not a big Christian Lacroix fan. I'm also not even really a super duper big Dries Van Noten fan. So for me, I was like, listen, I'm gonna opt out of it. I'm not even really gonna talk about it because I don't know what I'm talking about. but now it's on the red carpet, so I kind of have to talk about it. I will say, I do sort of like the idea of it. I like the neon pink. I like the big sort of ruching and ruffling, you know, the bows. Like, I like the idea of it. The execution of it, not super great in my opinion. And again, to the everyday person, they're gonna look at this and say, what is that? And like, listen, I love, you know, when everyday people say, what is that? Referring to fashion. But here, I'm even saying, what is that? I actually think it's much better with a short little black dress underneath with a little black heel, a little peep toe, which Pierre M. Pellet at Pamboy actually noticed that there is really a peep toe renaissance happening here. And I mean, we saw it with BB Rex at the Grammys. Like, you know, it's definitely happening. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I mean, if you love Dries and Lacroix and love that collaboration collection, yeah, I go for it. I'm happy for you, but this is not for me at all. Next up is Greta Gerwig, and I don't know who she's wearing, but I love this. I think this is a fantastic moment for Greta Gerwig. I think this velvet strapless gown, except for the strap around, you know, the neck. I love this dress. I think it's simple, effective, perfection. I love the green on her. It's this dark, dark green, which almost looks like black until you see, you know, little strokes of light, which let you know that it's green. I also don't even hate the silver straps. Like, I think if it had been like a gold strap, we would have had St. Patrick's Day, Luck of the Irish, which we don't want. I think that, you know, the silver is actually a really nice little accentuation. And it's not a busy dress, because I think a lot of times people want to be busy. They want to be so busy. Sometimes simple yet effective is very, very simple yet effective. Next up is Jessie Buckley wearing Miu Miu, and I just have to say ew ew, because this is not cute at all. Like, Miu Miu needs some serious TLC, tender loving care, because shit is a mess. Listen, Miu Miu to me is constantly like full of like frilly, like laces, bows, you know, very feminine, and it is the very sort of girly sister to Prada, because if you guys do not know, Miuccia Prada, who runs Prada, also runs Miu Miu. So let's talk about this dress though. I want to like it. I like the idea of it, like the craftsmanship of it. I like that there's a full ass feather going on, but it is very weird. It's just strange. It doesn't really look super great, but I like, you know, the fact that there's a feather going on there. And then I think that's not a velvet. Maybe that is. I can't tell if that's a velvet or like a very deep satin. I think it's a velvet though. Listen, I think with the blue skirt underneath, it doesn't really like match up all together well. I think it's a very strange sort of combination of the blue velvet with the silver neckline with the feathers that sort of go over the shoulder, which I do love. I do love the fact that it doesn't just stop in the front. It goes all the way to the back. That's like hot, know about that. It doesn't all work together. I think had maybe the rest of the dress been white, like a white velvet, like a white sort of satin, like a white silver fitted something, but I just think the blue really throws it off and is really weird, but I like the feathers. Next up is Jodie Turner-Smith in Gucci, and now she is pregnant, so we stand a pregnant icon. Now here's the thing. Obviously, she is pregnant, so she's trying to, you know, sort of show off the baby bump, which, you know, it's a different silhouette than what we're used to on the red carpet. And I feel like a lot of time people are trying to hide a baby bump or the fact that they're pregnant, where here I think it's very much so exposed and is very much so like having a moment. I love the silhouette. I think it's gorgeous. I'm not super obsessed with this curved plunging neckline cup bodice. I'm just not obsessed with it. I think it sort of like spreads everything apart, which is strange. And on top of that, I just can't get behind the mixing of the yellows. I'm really sorry. Like, you know, up here is more like a honeycomb yellow, and this tulle sort of glitter skirt that's like jumping out of the bodice, sort of creating that baby bump, is just a lot lighter. And those are two yellows that don't mix together well. I'm really sorry, it's just the truth. Like, they just do not mix together super duper great. I think the yellow at the bodice is very rich. I just feel like the tulle skirt is much more muted and like not as pretty, and I feel like the yellow at the bodice is very, very pretty. And I just feel like they're fighting for the attention for me, and I don't love that. And I hate to be a nitpicking little bitch for Jodie, but it's just the truth. Somebody at Gucci needs to figure that out. Next up is Kaitlyn Dever in Miu Miu. No, she was having a really cute little moment there, and now I don't know what she's done here. Stop letting Miu Miu dress people, and Prada too while we're at it. Sorry, not sorry. Until Raf Simons goes to Prada or Miu Miu, I'm not gonna be happy. I don't think that this pale pink is a great color on Kaitlyn. I really just don't. I don't love the ruffled bodice. Because again, I just think that color really like sinks into her skin, and like you can't really even tell where the dress, like you can obviously tell where the dress starts, but like it's just not super duper attractive. I also think the tiers of sequins is not great. Like I don't think that wide of a distance between each tier and each differentiation of fabric, because you have a sort of light see-through transparent chiffon, and then you have that heavy, really opaque sequin. I also just don't think the thickness of those horizontal lines is attractive at all. So I'm hoping for the Oscars she sort of like, is she going to the Oscars? I don't know. But if she goes to the Oscars, I'm hoping she really like turns out a look, because this is a bit sad to see right before the big, you know, big experience. Next up is Laura Dern in Valentino. Yeah, Valentino. No, that's ugly. And it's custom haute couture. The bodice is not attractive because unless you're really looking up close, you can't tell that it's, you know, feathers and silver. It just looks like weird eyeballs looking at you, like a mutation has happened in the fabric. In reality, you can really tell that there's a silk sort of, you know, ribbon creating that waist, and then it falls into this velvet skirt. And I guess velvet skirts are in for the BAFTAs. I'm not super duper sure, but everybody is wearing one. Yeah, I just don't think it's a great look for her. I really just don't. And I feel like that's been happening a lot with Laura Dern. Like she just doesn't look amazing anymore. And I'm wondering what's happening. She was having a real fashion moment, and now she's having a real not fashion moment, and that's sad to see. Next up is Lily Rose Depp, and like Shookenstein, Shookorama, Shimshmib. She looks amazing. She's wearing Chanel haute couture. This lace dress is beautiful, it's true. So I love that it actually is a lace sort of bodysuit that's full range, goes right down to the ankle. And then they've layered a little camisole dress over it. Like that to me is fashion. That to me is like thinking differently. Layering. Layering is really, really big with the young kids, the Gen Zers. I see it all the time. That's fashion. That's a moment. Like, this is how you design a custom look for a red carpet that's going to be remembered, because she looks fantastic. She looks beautiful. Do I love the peep toe? No. Do I get the costume jewelry on the cuffs? Yes, very Chanel costume jewelry. That's kind of like an iconic moment. I don't love the slit, but I think I understand why the slit is so necessary, so that you can see that it actually is a bodysuit made of lace. I love that she's unafraid to show off the girls. The girls look great. We're so happy to see them out and about. Lily Rose Depp is like a Chanel icon. I literally love her in Chanel, and when she, you know, rocks it out in Chanel, it's never a bad look. Like, she can wear almost anything. I think this is a brilliant moment of layering of lace. I think it's a beautiful moment of showing that lace does not have to be old lady-ish and it has to be old and sort of quite archaic. It actually can be very young, interesting, modern, different, sexy. And I love to see that. So thank you to Lily Rose Depp. Thank you. Next up is Lulu Wang in Simone Rocha. The directors of these movies, I don't know if you guys know, Lulu Wang is the director of The Farewell. The directors of movies are killing it, and then the actors in said movies are not killing it on the red carpet, and that's very disappointing. So let me just say this is a perfect mixing of, you know, sort of heritage brand. So Lulu Wang is Chinese. Simone Rocha is half Chinese. Lulu Wang is at the BAFTAs, the British Academy Film and Television Awards. Simone Rocha is also half Irish. Like, it's like when the First Lady has to meet all the dignitaries from different countries, they always wear a, you know, Chinese American designer if they have, you know, the president of China coming, or a Chilean American designer if they have the president of Chile coming. Like, that's so smart. It's so different. It's thinking outside of the box. And so to mix these two, we love to see it. Of course, we also love to see it because Simone Rocha is a fantastic designer. And this amazing mixture of lace, silhouette, and that little red floral embroidery is fantastic. Like, I love Simone Rocha's silhouettes. They're big, they're ridiculous, they're quite different, sort of androgynous, but she adds this femininity with the lace and the sort of white and the sort of little Peter Pan-y collar and the little ruching on the sleeves. And then you also have like a second skirt underneath, which sort of adds that sort of balloon, sort of big, voluminous, oversized silhouette, while also leaving the top quite fitted, which I think a lot of people wouldn't even think about. And then on top of that, there's a pant underneath, because Simone Rocha is that fucking bitch. And then you have a nice little strappy shoe. I love it. I think it's beautiful. I think it is fashion. I think it is a mixture of heritage and culture and like picking the right designer to wear at the right time. Like, I love Lulu Wang. I love Simone Rocha. I love. Next up is Margot Robbie and Chanel Haute Couture. And so like when you have that moment where you have Lily Rose Depp killing it, and then you have Margot Robbie looking like, you know, boring, because that's what she is, unfortunately. And you know who I blame? Kate Young. So you know what? Everybody on Twitter was like, have you seen this about Kate Young? Kate Young is fucking up Margot Robbie. And it's like, yeah. Have you not been watching the videos? I've been watching Kate Young fuck up Margot Robbie for years now. She's a mess. She's a hot ass mess. Kate Young, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? Somebody explain. Somebody please explain to me. Is Kate Young being held hostage by the Chanel ladies and the haute couture, like ateliers? Like, what is happening? Who is dictating these things to Margot Robbie? Like, listen, I don't think this is an awful dress. I feel like the shoulders are quite nice in the lace. I'm not totally obsessed with little peplum, you know, sort of sporting out, but, you know, it adds a little bit of dimension. And then it's a black dress, but like, she's just so boring. She's so boring. I don't understand why. Like, Margot Robbie is like so hot, so amazing, Australian icon, birds of prey, but she's so boring. I'm so confused as to why she's always dressed so dowdy and sad. It's whatever. But like, again, she's a Chanel haute couture woman. Like, is this what Chanel haute couture is? Boring, sad, depressing, but yet worth $100,000? I don't know. Next up is Naomi Harris and Michael Kors, and, you know, referencing back to the podcast, for those of you that do not know, me and Darnell actually discussed how a lot of American brands, Michael Kors, you know, included alongside people like Tommy Hilfiger, Ralph Lauren, Diane von Furstenberg, actually would really benefit from bringing in a young designer to sort of revamp their brands. Because Michael Kors is so boring. This dress is so boring. It's a silver dress with a slit and, you know, some sort of dripping, you know, fringe coming out of it that looks like a weird molting chicken. So why couldn't you have a really cool young designer who is on the up and up sort of take over the label creatively and sort of bring us amazing and iconic, you know, fashion moments that we'd love to see? Like, why is that not a thing? Why do we still have Michael Kors designing these red carpet pieces in the most boring, banal way? Like, listen, let the basic women of middle America buy the Michael Kors logo bags. That's fine. If that's what's going to pay the bills, great, totally cool, do it. But if you're going to have somebody on a red carpet, have them actually look good, interesting, different. You're a fashion designer with a fashion design house. Maybe, you know, do some fashion design. No? Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong. Let me know if I'm wrong, please, because you want to talk about design. Well, flawed by design is what this is. Next up was me Duchess Kate Middleton and me future king, Prince William. Very nice to see him. She's not even Kate Middleton anymore, is she? She's really Kate Windsor, wearing McQueen. And yeah, Kate, it's a bit, you know, boring. Like, Kate has an incredible figure. Like, she is stunning, beautiful, wonderful, and I understand that she is the future queen to be, so I don't think she's gonna be showing up in some avant-garde Comme des Garçons look. I'm not expecting that. But I just think she could be a little bit more fashion forward, because from this angle, Jesus Christ, her waist is fucking snatched. And the thing is, I think if she's wearing McQueen, she should be impeccably fitted too. Like, listen, this does fit her beautifully, and I'm sure that Sarah Burton like has her measurements on file, but I just think it's a bit blah, you know what I mean? Like the gold flowers or whatever it is pasted all over the white dress. And then I really need to understand where like the chiffon drape at the bust kind of comes through. I do like the way it's framed. It's a very plunging square neckline and it's a real focus on the girls, but you know, I just don't think that pulled and draped and sort of gathered chiffon is really, really nice. There, it's like, it definitely pops, but I don't know if it pops in the way you want it to pop. And I feel like maybe had they done like a gathered sort of chiffon to cuff the sleeve, maybe it could have been tied in a little bit more, but I think it's just so blatant and it's so on its own. There's no reference anywhere else in the dress to it that it sort of is like, why is that there? Somebody explain. Somebody tell me why the girls are being draped over Kate's boobs. Somebody let me know. Prince William looks a bit whatever in black and white, you know what I mean? Like, I get it, he's the future king, great, but like, Next up is Rebel Wilson and Prabal Gurung. I'm having a problem with Prabal Gurung. It's a problem, Gurung. I don't have to explain to you why that's ugly. I really don't. It's like giving me Christian Siriano. It's not a good thing to be, Prabal. Yeah, it's just fucking atrocious. So that's that one. Next up is Renee Zellweger in Prada, and I actually really like this. I think, again, simple yet effective. There's no bells and whistles to this dress. There's no sequins, there's no crystallization, there's no lace, there's no detail. It doesn't need any of that because it's just a beautifully fitted dress. It fits the bodice gorgeously and it flares out in this sort of like flute column silhouette. The pink is not my favorite thing in the entire world, but like it looks good. And I think these little straps, these little tri-straps, actually look quite nice. Like they're different, they're very architectural, they're very, you know, quite sharp and, you know, sort of geometric, but I feel like that's what I want to see from Prada. Prada is ugly chic. That's what the brand is. Normally, I just get the ugly, and very rarely do we get the chic on the red carpet. And here, like, yeah, you know, those straps are a little bit ugly, but it's ugly chic because it's different, it's geometric, it's interesting, it's quite architectural. And I think that Prada has, you know, a very good history in terms of architecture. One of the core pieces of the Prada brand, not the Prada design aesthetic, but the Prada brand, is a focus on architecture. A lot of the stores that they have been designed by quite fantastic and, you know, very different architects. Prada is very different and it thinks differently. And so I'm happy to see this. Like, it is a very simple dress, a simple column dress, but I think those straps add a little bit of difference and a little bit of interest. It piques my interest, so happy to see it. Next up is Rooney Mara in Givenchy. No, not after that great haute couture collection. We just had a really fire haute couture collection, and I normally love Rooney Mara in Givenchy haute couture. It's like one of my favorite moments usually because she's, you know, gone through two eras of Givenchy haute couture, both Riccardo and Claire White Keller. And so, you know, I have high expectations. And this to me is a bit like pretty, but like ugly pretty, like over-designed pretty. I don't think that, you know, the sort of big ruffles of, you know, chiffon jumping out of the neckline is nice. I don't even really love the manipulation of the fabric. Like, it looks like little pointed studs coming out of it. And then the thing is, if you're gonna do that, then do it all the way down. Like, don't have an ombre and then sort of pitter out at the end. Like, just do it just do the whole thing in it. Like, don't, you know, I don't want to say pussy out, but like, don't be a little annoying ass person and not, you know, go the whole way with it. Like, if you're gonna manipulate the fabric of the whole ass skirt. Don't just pitter out like a car that ran out of gas, because that's what it looks like, car that ran out of gas, and I'm disappointed. Next up is Saoirse Ronan. Saoirse is wearing Gucci. I actually don't like it at all. I don't like the little drop waist, if you know what you mean. It's just not that nice. You know, it's a simple black dress, if you get what I'm saying. Like, you gotta do a little bit something interesting, if you know what I mean. And like, the drop waist is just not nice. Like, the gathering where the bodice meets the skirt, it's just not nice, you know what I mean? It's just not nice. I can't do the Irish accent anymore. Listen, with the Renee, it was very simple. It was that one color. There was a real focus on the fit of it. And here, it's fitted impeccably. The bodice looks great on her, but that drop waist just is not attractive. And I think you have to be a very particular person to wear a drop waist. It does not, you know, enhance everybody. I've never worn a drop waist dress, but I'm sure it doesn't look good on me. So you really have to like have the perfect, not body, but like it just has to hit right. And unfortunately here it doesn't hit right. Next up is Scarlett Johansson in Versace, and oh God. Literally this looks like a chicken that Donatella took out of the freezer and she wanted it to thaw, and then the team at Versace who designed custom red carpet looks were like, oh God, we should hand stone and feather this chicken from the fridge. because it looks like she is wearing lunch meats, sequined lunch meats. And I don't love sequined lunch meats. I don't love lunch meats in general, but I especially don't love them when they are feathered and sequined. It's just not attractive at all. Does it fit her quite nicely? Yeah, okay, I can see that. I think the cups of the bodice are quite, different, little, interesting, sort of shape. Do I love the little bar across that's obviously holding it all together? No. I don't love the slit, although I know that's how she's meant to walk, but like put it in the back, please. And the feather train is just, like I hate when they do that. Let's go from dead sequin chicken breast to, oh, feathers, 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 feathers. Just do the whole dress as feathers or don't. Like trim it with feathers, pipe it with feathers, but do not make a weird ombre, like feather train. It just is ugly as sin. Next up is Vanessa Kirby in Valentino. I don't love it. I like what they're going for. Like, I like the big Valentino belt. I like this dark maroon. I actually think it's quite nice. And I do like the see-through sort of sequin skirt. And like, I can get into the feathers at the bottom, I guess. But I think the top needed to be in that, that maroon as well. Like, I don't know why it wasn't. Like, it should have been more sheer. And I feel like it should have been more see-through. And it should have been in that purple. It would have really brought it all together. But I think the fact that it's in this quite beige silver top is really off-putting and weird and strange and just sort of like totally takes away from this beautiful color moment that Vanessa Kirby could have really had. Like she looks gorgeous in this maroon. Like it's beautiful on her, but I think that top just totally ruins it. Like why? Like why ruin such a great look? What could have been so amazing to put a beige silver top on it? It just ruins the whole thing. I just wish it had been a full maroon dress and I would have been so happy and content. Next up is Zazie Beetz in Marina Moscone. And now I like the cut, I like the strapless moment. I like the little pointed edges on top and I like the color on her. This, maroon seems to also be a little bit of a trend, I guess, on the carpet, but it's a bit meh, you know what I mean? And I also don't love the slit. Again, put the slit in the back and do something interesting with the skirt in the front. It's just a bit blah for Zazie. I feel like she's much more interesting than that. I feel like she actually could have had a really interesting sort of moment. I feel like we need to get out of this, like a gown has to be worn on the red carpet every single time. Like put the girls in runway look. Put the girls in runway look. Let them wear a pair of jeans and some crazy top off the runway. Like let them be different. Don't make them have to wear a gown every single time. Finally, let's talk about Zoe Kravitz in Saint Laurent. Now I will say the fit of this is phenomenal. Like it fits her like a glove. I love that and I expect that from Saint Laurent, but I don't love this gold sequin on her. I think it's too shiny. I think it's too reflective and I just think the gold and silver sequins is so tacky and like gaudy and gross. And I think we really need at least like 10 years before we really start to embrace it again because it is so cheap and sad looking. And I don't want that for Zoe Kravitz. The light is like reflecting off of her. It probably like hit somebody in the eye and blinded them momentarily. Like I don't want that. I love the fit of it. I think that's phenomenal. I think that's gorgeous. Like so happy about that. But the gold lame sequin, no thank you. So that is the end of our BAFTAs red carpet review. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below and I will see you guys on the next video. So TTYL.